Here is the answer to last video's challenge question. At the end of last video, I gave you this challenge question, where you as white had to find a move that would put black completely in zugzwang. And I told you to find how white could eventually checkmate black. Well, the series begins off with bishop to g5. I hope that most of you guys found this move, if not all of you. What bishop g5 does is that it restricts the last piece, black's last piece, the knight on g8 that can move. And notice how the bishop covers all those squares. Now black is completely in zugzwang. Now this bishop can move, and this knight also can move, but you realize that none of these squares are actually good to move to. Now, here's how the game might have ended. Let's say black just moves his knight to h6. We can take. And then he has this bishop and pawn to move, both of which aren't really good. So let's just say he moves his bishop. And after takes, he's forced to play b5. Notice how all his other pieces are either blocked or restricted. Now after b5, can you find the move that checkmates black? The answer is a takes b5 checkmate. The bishop defends the pawn gives check to the king, the knight defends b6, and the bishop defends b7. Notice how these two black pawns are blocking the king's way from escaping? Today, I will be talking about underpromotions. I will be giving you 3 examples of what an underpromotion is and why you should use them, and a challenge question that relates to underpromotions. You may have realized that underpromotion is basically adding under to the word promotion, which you all know is when a pawn reaches the other side and it can promote 4 pieces: the bishop, rook, knight, or queen. What underpromotion means is when you promote to something that's not a queen. Of course, we all know that a queen is worth much more than all of the other pieces, but in some cases, the queen may not necessarily be the best choice. For example, here. It is white's move, and he has 1 move from promotion. He can pick to be a queen, knight, rook, or bishop. Let's just say we promote to a queen. We're up 3 pawns. Seems like an easy win, doesn't it? Well, there's a slight problem. The black queen can simply go to c1, and it will lead to back rank mate, as you know. But what if we had gone back and considered promoting to a different piece? Can you think of a move that would avoid everything? You got it. You can promote to a knight. What this move does is it forks both the king and the queen. And now, obviously, black can't check on c1. He's got to save his own queen. After he does so, we can simply take the queen. This will lead to an easy win up 3 pawns and a knight. The only reasons to do underpromotion are either to avoid stalemate, to have a power that the queen does not, which really is only the knight, and just to be fancy. Well, we're not going to look at any of those examples, but yeah. Now I'll be giving you another example of when underpromotion is can be used. Remember how I said that one of the main reasons for underpromoting is to avoid stalemate? Well, here's an example of doing so in this position. Right now, white is 1 move from promotion, and it is his move. Black is too far to stop him and has nothing to do. White can choose to promote to a queen, knight, rook, and bishop, as you all know. But we need to think about this carefully. Now, what would happen if we promote to a queen? Well, the answer becomes obvious. The queen has the powers of both the rook and the bishop, which means it controls on the ranks, files, and diagonals, which then means that these squares will be controlled when we promote to a queen. And can you realize that if we do so, then it's going to be a stalemate because it's black's to move. He's not in check, and he doesn't have any other pieces that can move. For example, because this pawn is blocked by white's b5 pawn. So usually when the queen doesn't work, we try the next most valuable piece, which is obviously the rook. Now that'd be perfect. The rook does not have the powers of the bishop, which means it will not be able to control any diagonals, which therefore means the king will have one free square, b7, and then, though it is attacking the rook, it can simply move away, and white will be up a rook with a comfortably winning endgame. Now I will be giving you one more example of an underpromotion. We've seen how underpromoting to a rook and a knight can be useful. But is there any use for underpromoting to a bishop? Well, turns out the chances of you having to underpromote to a bishop are super low. But it can happen sometimes, like in this position. White is 2 moves from promoting, and black cannot stop the pawn. So white races up the board and plays g7. Now black has a tricky plan up his sleeve. He will decide to bury himself on h3. Now here's the tricky part. If we promote to a queen, it's going to be stalemate. White's queen will have sealed black off, and thus black will have no moves to do. Now let's try a rook, since it's the next most valuable piece. Now, same problem. Rook also seals off the g file, making it another stalemate. Now, what about a knight? We've seen how a knight can be really useful, but promoting to the knight in this position has its own problems. If we do decide to promote to a knight, black's king can race off and go grab the pawn on a2. The knight, which is a fairly slow piece, will have a tough time trying to defend it, which then means we are left with one more option, the bishop. And in this case, the bishop is perfect because it does not put black into stalemate, the g file is not cut off, and it does a really good job defending the pawn on a2. And have you realized that we are actually threatening bishop to e6 checkmate on the next move? So when black goes out, we check here, and after he goes out, we've cleared the h3 square, which means our king can charge into there, and therefore win one of his pawns and later the game. Now, the chances of you having to promote to a bishop are extremely low, so this position will probably be impossible to get into. But yeah, it's always fun when you can. Now I will be giving you an end of video challenge question, which as always will be resolved in my next video. In this position, you are white. We have 3 pawns for a knight, and black has just played knight to b4, which turns out to be a very tricky move. Now, can you find what black has up his sleeve and stop his trick? I'll give you a clue. It has to do with underpromotion, and I want you to find why we have to underpromote, and what will happen if we just regularly promote to, let's say, a queen. As I said earlier, the answer will be in my next video. That's it for today, and thank you for your time. If you enjoyed the content, please consider to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Thank you.